Throughout 2019 and up until March this year, I was involved with Doug Minty with this clock tower in Cronulla, which houses a 1770 movement made by Julian of Brentford. Well, in fact, made by Ainsworth Thwaites for Julian of Brentford. It was given by Caltex to the Sutherland Shire. These are some pictures of the movement. The escapement. That chain wheel there is added on for the automatic winding, which was the bulk of this project, to refit automatic winding to this clock. But also we've now added pendulum regulation, which keeps the clock keeping good time. There's the rack. Now these next two pictures show the automatic winders, which are planetary gearboxes, and they, with the amount of drop we have, we've got about 10 hours of standby. Now the addition of pendulum regulation to a clock like this is absolutely necessary because it's going to be left unattended, hopefully, for long periods of time, and a mechanical clock will always drift. The clock in this case is now regulated by the strange contraption up the top of the picture you can see with the arm hanging down from it. The movement of the pendulum is detected by the vane which passes through those two, it's a light beam that passes through on the left, and it detects when the clock actually escapes. It's adjusted so that when it goes tick, that's when it goes through the vane. Now, in these situations, the clock is always set to run slightly slow, and when the controller detects that the clock is slowed down to the same position as an internal time base, it will give the pendulum a bit of a wriggle on. Now, this is the display on the regulator box. T being the internal time base, C is where the clock is detected as ticking. You can see that the T is slightly ahead. The C is slightly ahead of the T at the moment. When it gets to exactly the same, the P will light up, which is when the regulator will push, and then it'll run unattended for 20, 30, 40, 50 seconds until the clock is again at the same time as the T. The other numbers here that you can see there are not really relevant. CC simply means a count of how many times the clock is being corrected. Now, as we just sit here and wait, you can see the C getting closer and closer, and in fact at the moment the difference in time between the C and the T is invisible to your eye. And we'll just sit through some more boring looking at T's and C's, waiting for the paint to dry, and soon it will decide that the clock is now back in sync with T, and it's going to need a little bit of a push. Let's hope that happens before we'll go to sleep. And there it goes, it's giving a push. And that rattle is because of the control box. Anyway, here's a picture of that happening. Wait for it. Here we go. Push. The other thing this clock can do, the regulator can do, is it can stop the clock and restart it either 1 hour later or 11 hours later for daylight saving changes. This is a movie of the clock being stopped, and it'll sit there for a while, for the next hour or 11 hours, depending on whether it's going forward or back, and with the pendulum simply resting on that slightly springy magnetic push coming from the regulator body. And it eventually settles down to no ticking. One thing I forgot to mention is that this regulator and the automatic winders were made by the Cumbria Clock Company in England. And when it restarts, it starts from rest, and there you go. It'll start up again. And that's how the thing works. Interesting gadget, works well, installed all over Britain in all sorts of clocks and in other countries in the world.